Hopefully he'll put the code on a little TV. Anyway, we're gonna go into one more story in just a sec. I did want to welcome John Brown as a member on YouTube. Thank you very much for that. Darren said in the super chat, I disagree with some of your takes, not all, but you do put in the work. Thank you. I would assume that everybody disagrees with at least a few. I say a lot of crazy stuff, but thank you for watching. Jason R said, after that Hannity story, for sure Cuomo should resign. We are in the upside down. Yeah. A Brink says, Texas hospital worker update. Regeneron seems pretty available, at least where I work, but it has to be tailored to each individual patient. $, $. Okay, so available but expensive. And walking on my grave, thank you. Your super chats allow us to upgrade our internet to Pure Talk. Pure Talk. When chaos reigns, talk pure. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna be doing those for like 6 months now.
I've got 4 in my brain already, but go ahead.
Thank you, feel free. With that, why don't we jump into this last story? A white man has been sentenced now for attacking a black family's home, although he says it wasn't personal at all. This is Michael Frederick Jr. He said that the attacks on Eddie and Candace Hall weren't done personally. He said, I targeted these people because I didn't like their political sign that they had in the window. I think you guys are some great people and didn't deserve this at all. So they apparently had a BLM sign up. And so he wasn't angry at them. He just hated their sign. And so what did he do? Well, he shot at their home. He slashed the tires on a vehicle. He wrote racist graffiti on a pickup truck. But supposedly none of this had to do with race. Even the racist graffiti or the fact that the political slogan he didn't like was Black Lives Matter, JR, apparently it was all just a personal thing.
This had nothing to do with race. This is a white family. I would have done the same thing because white families sometimes have yard signs up to say Black Lives Matter, or in this house we believe in love and all this stuff. There's a list of several things. We see those yard signs around here a lot more than I think we probably do in this area. But so it has nothing to do with race. I just wrote a racist graffiti over someone's truck and destroyed things around the house and shot because I'm not really upset. It's not personal. I just wanted to kill you.
I know that's like shooting a bullet into a home means I am comfortable with the possibility of killing you or your kid or a family member or someone who's like, I don't care. I'm willing to kill anyone in theory. But I want to give you a few more details, including the fact that he was sentenced to 4 to 10 years in prison. So a significant sentence. There was a swastika painted on one of their vehicles, a large stone thrown through a window, which again could horribly injure someone. Someone had written terrorist Black Lives Matter, not welcome on the truck. And then eventually the bullet was fired. Now he was eventually arrested. He pleaded no contest in July to ethnic intimidation, discharging a firearm at a building, using a firearm during a felony, and malicious destruction of property. Now what's interesting is that despite all of this, which seems unbearable, like the terror that this family must have been experiencing for a few days, wondering what's gonna happen, up to including violence, Candace Hall, one of those who was targeted, said, I'm not angry, I'm forgiving. You're a good kid and have a chance. You made a bad choice and we understand that. We have children ourselves. We're not hateful people, we're Christians. With so much of the bad that happened, so much good came out of this because even though it was an evil, hateful act, it actually brought us, the neighborhood, together with love and comfort and compassion, even including his parents. And the judge said that she was in awe of that family's strength, wisdom, and forgiveness. JR, what do you think about that? It's a pretty amazing statement to put out.
People can do, people can do whatever they want, and they can respond whatever they want. It's a personal thing for them. So, my thoughts about my response, I don't have to even say because it negates them and they lived through it. But I disagree. Sure. I guess is the best thing to say. I disagree. And you know what happens? The same thing with a First AME church, and then when all these people got murdered by Dylan Roof, they have to forgive him. And then black folks then forgive, then we forgive, and then we forgive, and we forgive. We understand, and we forgive. We understand, and we forgive. Where's the understanding and forgiveness? Did his parents come forward and talk about how much a piece of garbage their son is? No, but they all came together. How about you guys come out and speak about the reasons why your son is this person? Sorry, I'm done, but there's a lot more I could say about this.
Yeah, I get it, I admire it. People, like they say they're Christians, actually acting like what it seems like you would do if you're a Christian. We don't often see that in America, actually. Yeah, and they've been through a bad thing. But I totally get what you're saying, JR, and that is definitely a pattern that we see. In any event, unfortunately, sorry for the tech problems. We hope to get to a little bit more. It's gonna have to wait until tomorrow when we have I believe, we'll see, co-host coming back, a surprise co-host who has not been on in a very long time. Feel free to start making your predictions. But for now, JR, awesome Big News Wednesday. Thank you as always for being with us.
Man, I can't wait till tomorrow. Now I'm gonna check it out.
It's gonna be something. And thank you everybody for watching as well. I'm gonna be joining Anna Kasparian on the second hour of the Young Turks later on today. But before then, Indisputable is coming up. So you can stay on Twitch. You can go to indisputable or youtube.com/indisputable TYT. That is coming up in just a few. But until then, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.
Yep, you know what time it is. It's indisputable. Welcome, I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richey, good to be with you. We got a lot on the agenda today. In the bullpen, my debate guest will be Corinne Clark, co-founder of freepressfail.com. This person wants to debate with me about the January 6th terrorist attack, COVID-19, mask mandates, and vaccinations. Should be hilarious, all right? Also breaking down news of the day, co-host Nando Vila, host of Weekends, Woke Bros. That should be very fun as well. Ladies and gentlemen, my top story. There's a racist ass Florida school teacher who teaches special ed. And she has some words in her neighborhood that revealed her racism. Let me bring your attention to a Florida school teacher who has now been placed on leave by her district after being caught on camera using racial slurs against children using a walking path near her home. The teacher, who reportedly has been terrorizing her neighborhood as she guards the walking path in Naples, has been identified as Patricia Smith, who works as an exceptional student education specialist at Lely Elementary School. That's according to local NBC affiliate. Let's put up a picture of Patricia, okay? Now, I have no issue with school teachers. I love school teachers. I was adopted by a school teacher. I'm a college professor today because that school teacher influenced me. I have a problem with racist people like her. Keep her picture up because I'm going to read some of the comments she made while driving up in her Mercedes-Benz and shouting at a parent and a child. She said, and I quote, "You can't afford to live in Kings Lake. You're white trash Lakewood." She went on to say, "You have mulatto kids. You have sex with a black guy." She then said, "Your son, he must be special ed. He's a retard." And in the background, you hear the kids say, "I'm a retard?" Now remember, this woman has specialized training. She is a special education teacher talking like this to children and to the parent. Now the first incident, by the way, Smith, who was driving a Mercedes-Benz at the time, called the mother white trash, referred to her children as mulattoes and half-breeds. Neighbors say that this woman has exhibited similar behavior for years. They refer to her as, get this, Kings Lake Karen. That's her nickname, Kings Lake Karen, due to her self-appointed role as guardian of the walking path, which reportedly is intended only for residents of that Kings Lake neighborhood. Horrific story, because this individual is in a position of public trust. She teaches kids who need specialized training. They also need people that have specialized compassion, okay? That's what they need. This is not a one-off for this person. According to multiple neighbors who went on record, not only is she known for trashing other people like this, she is known for being racist against individuals who are black or brown in that local community. To talk more about this, I got Nando. What are your thoughts here?
Well, it sounds like maybe she needs some specialized training of some sort. Well, yeah. I just find it, she seems like she's got a lot of anger problems. Like what's going on? Because she's, obviously the racist remarks, but then also, the white trash. Like she seems to hate everybody, and it seems like that maybe she just needs a little love in her life and some specialized training to get rid of some of this hostility. Like why so angry about all this stuff? Like it's just I don't understand how people can live their life just walking around the street, just yelling at people all the time. I was like, man, just, smell the sunshine, like take a look around. Life is okay. You can do it.
You know what I've learned, brother? When the Karenicity runs deep, like in this person, obviously, there is no amount of intervention that can correct it. She's set in her ways. She believes what she believes. But here's what can happen. Individuals like that do not deserve positions of public trust. They especially do not deserve positions of public trust with our children. The irony is staggering here. This woman is a special ed teacher, a special education teacher, and she decides to call a kid a retard. Come on now. Imagine what this woman does when she gets angry inside of a classroom and there's no one there to report her.
Well, that's the other that I find strange about this story is like if she feels that way about special needs kids, like why is she in that line of work? Like she could do literally anything else. My experience with the vast majority of teachers, especially special education teachers, is that they have a deep well of that they do it because they have compassion for children and children who need help and things like that. And so like, if you feel this way about kids, why are you a teacher? Just I don't know, go work at anywhere else. Do literally anything else other than what you're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes, man, people pick this position not because they are compassionate, but because they lack compassion and they believe they can get away with verbally abusing these kids. We've seen story after story across this country of teachers in the special education field physically abusing some of these kids and even taking advantage of them sexually. So that has been a reality as well. And they chose this profession, they chose the specialized training, and they did not act in good faith to those kids. Now, granted, the vast majority of all school teachers, in particular those who work in special education fields, they are in it for the right reason. They are in that field for the right reason. This person needs to go. So the person is currently under suspension. We are going to continue to monitor that story and we will bring you the update as it comes. Let me shift gears to a hero, ladies and gentlemen. The ACLU in Minneapolis, they are suing on behalf of a woman who filmed the police and was arrested for simply filming the police. That's all she did. That's all she did. She saw the police holding two black men at gunpoint, and she had the audacity to start recording them, as I recommend everyone to do, especially in the United States of America. So a woman who faced criminal charges for recording police holding two black men at gunpoint is now suing the city of Robbinsdale for violating her rights. And they did violate her rights for sure. The ACLU of Minnesota filed suit Tuesday on behalf of Amy Jo Koopman in US District Court against the city and officers involved. The suit alleges the plaintiffs infringed upon Koopman's First and Fourth Amendment rights to record and speak to police, and to not be cited with obstructing justice or exercising her constitutional rights. Now, let me remind you, the Constitution is clear here. The Constitution says that the government cannot do anything to infringe or abridge your freedom of speech, okay? The government cannot do that. Who are the police? They are the government, okay? If the police, if they don't like something that you're saying, if they don't like something that you're doing, and you're within your constitutional right to do it, and they decide to arrest you, that is an in fact violation of your constitutional liberty. Plain and simple. The ACLU fought for her and the criminal charges, so those criminal charges were dismissed, and now they're fighting in civil court. This young lady also received their Torchbearer Award, and you get to hear in her own words why she did what she did. This was her video pre-made acceptance speech for that award from the ACLU. Here it is.
Civil liberties to me is something that I didn't think a lot about until I filmed police and they charged me with a crime for it. I don't know the ins and outs of the laws or how to argue them. And this is what the ACLU does. They protect our right to gather, to speak, to film, to worship. All of us have a fundamental right to speak, to be heard. And the ACLU protects everyone's right to do that. It's affirming to me personally because this stuff is terrifying. I have filmed police so many times, and every single time my voice shakes and my hands shake. But I do it anyway because I know that it matters, and I know that the people who are being harassed by police, who are being unjustly stopped, they feel protected, a little bit more protected when we film and when we step up. I don't know, it makes me want to keep going, and it makes me want to tell everybody else, do this work. It is worthy work. I imagine a world where white people are doing the work of anti-racism and dismantling white supremacy in ourselves so that we are able to see our black neighbors and our indigenous neighbors and our refugee neighbors as human beings whose rights are being violated all the time. I want that to matter. I want it to matter to everybody.
That's an American hero, okay? That is an American hero. Now, I encourage everyone, when you see a police interaction, record. I'm not telling you to intervene, but record. Because the unsung hero in so many injustices throughout this country that we have been able to expose is because somebody decided to do what Ms. Koopman did. Record, all right? They tried to intimidate her. They told her to stop recording. And then they arrested her, charged her with crimes. And the ACLU had to fight to get those crimes or those criminal charges dismissed. Here's what the ACLU said locally in that state. In an era marked by the police killings of George Floyd, Dante Wright, and so many others, the ability to hold police accountable, record their interactions, and stand witness is more crucial than ever, said ACLU Minnesota staff attorney David McKinney. Robbinsdale's charging of Amy Koopman for recording police was a clear attempt to chill those rights, a violation that simply cannot stand. Ms. Koopman said, and I quote, "I hope police get the message that they cannot punish people for exercising their First Amendment rights." Here's some background to what happened. On August 16th, 2018, Koopman, who was a church secretary and seminary student at the time, pulled her vehicle over as she saw police standing by a car containing 2 black men, their guns drawn. She stood across the intersection, nearly 40 yards away, and began live streaming on Facebook because she wanted to ensure the men would be safe and that police would be held accountable. Even though she never physically interfered with the police or their actions, Robbinsdale police charged her with obstructing the legal process and threatened to detain her if she did not stop recording or provide identification. The ACLU won dismissal of that misdemeanor charge in June of 2019. So that was your legal battle, okay? That was your criminal legal battle. Never should have happened. She never should have been charged. Never should have had to go through criminal court in order to be exonerated. So here's what's happening now. Amy Jo Koopman versus the city of Robbinsdale alleges the city and the police engaged in retaliation, which they did, unlawful seizure, which they did, and malicious prosecution, which is what happened. The ACLU seeks a court order declaring the city and police officers' actions to be unconstitutional and its policies and failure to train or discipline officers unlawful. The ACLU also seeks an order stopping the practice because they're still doing it, plus damages. Okay, there's a lot there. Big ups to her for going through the process all the way, not just getting her charges beat, but now suing them. Nando, what are your thoughts here?
I just, I'm always troubled when I see the police and other apparatuses of the state, which has been a trend in the last 2 decades of just brazenly violating civil liberties. Like they act like they don't care. And the ACLU is one of the few institutions in our country that can provide a sort of bulwark against that kind of abuse. So I always support the work that they do because, I mean, like that woman said, she's just just a woman. I mean, she felt compelled to videotape these cops, and but she doesn't know the ins and outs of the legal system. The state has so many more resources against any single individual, and that's what we've seen is that they've just become more and more brazen, with NSA spying and of like Black Lives Matter and things like that, because they know that they can usually get away with it. So it's always great to see an example of people pushing back, working with the ACLU to do something like this, like you said, all the way to the end.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you are a good cop, they always talk about, it's way more good cops than bad cops. Okay, let's try that theory. If you are a good cop, that means that the bad cops should be in the minority. That means that the good cops should influence the culture of all of policing. That's what that means, because that's how culture works. And if you are a good cop, you welcome the opportunity to be recorded because you are exercising your duties in a way that's appropriate, in a way that is right, that's righteous to the community that you serve. And so if a citizen decides to lie on you, you have a recording of your right behavior. But if that's not who you really are, if that's not what you're really doing, the absolute last thing you need is somebody recording it. Let's be very clear. Cameras tell no lies, okay? They tell no lies. They have no bias. They're not trying to get one particular side of the story. They simply record. Why would police be adversarial to go and arrest a woman for simply recording them doing their job? And let's not forget, police officers are public servants being paid by taxpayer dollars. This is not a private corporation. That's not private property. They don't get to tell you you can't record them. What makes them special? Huh? What makes them special? They are public servants. It doesn't take my belief as a prerequisite for you to do your job. I don't have to believe in you. I simply need you to do your job. And yes, it's okay to record you. If I walk outside of my home, if I'm on public property, guess what? People can record me. Why? Why can they do that? Because I'm a regular guy and so are you. And you're being paid public dollars to do your job. Am I wrong anywhere here, brother?
No, absolutely not. They work for us. We should be able to record them, especially given all the abuse that's gone on in that it's been exposed in recent years. It's always been going on, but it's been exposed in recent years by the presence of cameras. So yeah, absolutely.
All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm back to gaslighting. Did you and I talk about gaslighting on Old School?
Probably.
That boss gaslit all his female employees. People who manipulate others like that make you feel like you're the weirdo. Why won't you punch yourself in the face? What is wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Why didn't I just punch myself in the face and poke my eye out? I'm 47 and I just figured it out like earlier this year.
You figured out somebody was doing it to you, or that you were
that it was that it would have been happening my whole life and I didn't realize it.
Right.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
I been a fan of TYT, I believe, for the last 6 years.
5 years.
3 years now. 7 years.
4 years now.
2.5 years. I just started because she got me into it.
My boyfriend actually watches it every morning and every night, so I kind of just started watching it with him, and I love it. I mean, it's the only way that I find my news.
Looking through YouTube, looking for like, political shows that look cool.
I came across a very angry rant from Cenk, and that's when I knew.
So I was immediately in love with the show.
And then I haven't missed a live show since then.
10 times a day, I watched the show in the morning. Whenever I had a bad day at high school, Young Turks.
Man, Cenk is just so blunt and honest, and I love the honesty, and there's no BS behind the news, and they just tell everything like it is.
There's nobody censoring them. There's nobody there to say you can't do this, you can't say that.
That feel of authenticity makes it seem like what they're saying is true.
I feel like I get the real story from the Young Turks.
I am TYT.
I am TYT.
I am TYT. I am TYT.
I am TYT.
I am TYT.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
All right, welcome back. Let's go to some of these viewer comments. We got a lot of them. I will read as many as I can. Let's go to TYT member Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon. Oh my God, she's beyond disgusting. Could she think of any more insults? Did she write up a list to read from? That was just all inside of her, okay? No list needed. Jeremy, Red Dad Joke Dragon. Dr. Richie, I enjoy your show so much. I'm home. I'll have the privilege of catching it live today. Thanks for your passion and your advocacy. Well, thank you, Jeremy. We'll appreciate that very much. Diana says, Ms. Koopman is an amazing advocate, and I agree with her about white people acting as powerful allies to put a stop to systemic racism. You're right, Dr. R. She's an American hero. Thank you for covering this story, and she is, correct. YouTube super chat. I got my poet. Kelly O'Hara says, Kingslake Karen is a teacher, but logic fails to reach her. Why be in education when racism is your recreation? F for failure of the highest degree. Bars. Very well done. The artist, thank you for that. Jeffrey Ritchie, a little louder today. Hashtag film the police. Agreed. Miss Doll 13 says, how long should you keep the video if the arrest occurs without incident? And what should you do with videos if there is an incident? Great question. As far as no incident, that's really up to you, okay? If there is an incident and you know exactly what department, I would always send a copy to that department, but make sure you contact your local news affiliate first. Always a great access opportunity to get that video out, place it on social media so that you can control the actual footage because you place it on social media yourself, and make sure you contact me at Indisputable, all right? That's what you do with it. Monica Green, thank you for that, Monica Green. Jay Montana 22, thank you for that, Jay. Peter Hamby, people have cameras, nothing is swept under the rug, including police, from the Haiku Dragon, correct. Thomas Clifton, if you're a good cop, there's no need to worry about anyone filming you. Matter of fact, you'd encourage it. Exactly. That's exactly right. Twitch, Kyle, 8315. Special education kids deal with enough crap and mocking as it is because kids are often cruel. They don't need it from their teachers also. What a terrible person, horrible person. Kyle also says, side point, she streamed on Facebook rather than just recording. This is smart. If the police take your phone, they can't delete it. It's already out there and people saw it. That's correct. Snestley Wipes. Unless you are a Republican, Dr. Rashad, then camera footage can be reinterpreted any way you want. I didn't take no lies there. You got me on that one. Okay. This is a hell of a story. There's this cat who assaulted a Capitol police officer engaging in an act of terrorism, dragged the cop. There's video, there are pictures. They've been looking for this guy. They finally found him. They arrested him. And this is what he does for a living. Put it up. I kid you not. That is what he does for a living. This is his side gig. Put up the picture of him dragging the cop. That's his side job. Okay, let's recap. Here's what he does for a living. Side gig. 7 months after the January 6th terrorist attack, a what's called white whale suspect who has been documented dragging Capitol Police downstairs during this insurrection has finally been arrested. He faces multiple charges, including federal charges, assaulting federal officers, and using a dangerous weapon. Okay, this guy's name is Logan Barnhart, 40 years of age, a Michigan bodybuilder, wearing sunglasses and that Caterpillar hoodie that you saw. He was nicknamed Cat Sweat. There's a group named Sedition Hunters. They are a group of citizens who have been looking at videos and figuring out who people are, helping the authorities find them. Here's a little bit of video. Wow. Okay. According to HuffPost, a tipping point in the investigation came when the Sedition Hunters uncovered video of Barnhart that showed him without sunglasses during the Trump rally at the White House prior to the attack. Okay. Here's their call to action using that photo, using that video footage. You see it? Do you know this person? Sedition Hunters, FBI.gov, US Capitol, /US Capitol. So they help people meet justice. That is what they do. Good for them. The image of Barnhart's face plugged into a publicly available facial recognition website, pulled up several other images of Barnhart that are plastered across the internet on bodybuilding websites, photography portfolios, and the likes. Okay, all right, listen. This is indisputable, we tell the truth here, okay? So the next graphic that I'm putting up that I will read to you is just simply the truth. Yet it was Barnhart's Instagram account, that damn IG, where he described himself, hey, this is what he said, as a pipe layer, heavy machine operator, and posted right-wing memes alongside shirtless thirst traps that sealed the deal. In July 2019, Barnhart posted an image of himself wearing the same American flag that he'd later wear to the Capitol. And in August 2020, he posted a video of himself at work in a Caterpillar branded sweatshirt. I mean, all of the evidence is right there on his IG account, all right? Barnhart made a court appearance on Tuesday afternoon in Michigan. He was assigned a court-appointed attorney. He was released on house arrest and an unsecured bond of $5,000. Several defendants have already been arrested in connection with the attack, including Jack Way Witten, who was positioned next to Barnhart and had his hand on the back of the officer's neck. Here's a reality, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing's gonna really happen to this guy. Okay, nothing's gonna happen to him. All right, he'll get probation. He'll pay a fine, a low fine, and that's it. Because that has been the cookie cut model of all of these terrorists who attacked the U.S. Capitol that day. Barnhart's Instagram was also littered with right-wing tropes such as COVID-19 denial and rants against Black Lives Matter. You don't say. Nando, what are your thoughts here?
No, I mean, the only thing I'll throw into the mix to maybe just as a thought experiment. I mean, the only thing that kind of troubles me about all this is this idea of like collaborating with the FBI. I just, the FBI is like they're bad. They're not good. They investigated Martin Luther King and encouraged him to commit suicide, infiltrated all manner of activist groups, Black Panther Party, the Sanctuary Cities movement, and do all kinds of. And I get a little weary of like really collaborating with the FBI. I mean, this is obviously like the January 6th thing was bad, and those people should be punished and all that stuff. But I just get a little tingle when I'm thinking about the FBI being the ones that we have to sort of give information to.
Let me ask you,
know what I mean?
Because I understand the historical point of view, and listen, the police are the police to me as far as I'm concerned, and I really hope we get to a place where cops arrest cops. As soon as they see a cop who commits an act of criminality against a citizen, I don't care what department you belong to, the cop who sees it needs to arrest you. Put your hands behind your back, you're going to jail, all right? That's how it should happen if we are under an equal application of the law, right? But we're not, we know we're not. So let me just ask you this question. Who do you think these terrorists should go to? Like, who should arrest them?
Yeah, I mean, no, obviously, like they're that's the problem in this country is that we have, there's crime and we have to deal with it, and I believe that you can't just let crime go unpunished and things like that. But then we also can't trust our authorities, so we're kind of stuck. That there is no that we're just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because the FBI, I mean, it's not just like ancient history from the 1960s or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, there's documented evidence of them entrapping young Muslims and things like that in the last few years. It's like they're still a pretty dangerous organization in their own right. So again, I struggle with that all the time because it's on the one hand you need crime to go punished and you need people to face justice and things like that. But the authorities that kind of govern us are also often very corrupt and very violent and so I'm just saying that's something I struggle with.
Yeah, and I think all of us who work in social justice arenas, we understand the nuance of that, and we know that one group is not holy and the other group contrary to that. We understand the nuance here, but it's very clear that when a person engages in an attack on the US Capitol, here's what we know. We know that the powers that be, the authorities, they decided to give them a pass. Because if you would have had that many black people rushing the Capitol, people would have died. If you would have had that many folks with the last name Muhammad rushing the Capitol, beating up the police, using weapons, threatening violence, threatening to kill people, folks would have been shot in the head, shot dead. But because these were white men, white women, they were given the benefit of the doubt because of how our structure of law enforcement gives the benefit of the doubt to those who are not black, brown, and or Muslim. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Oh, that is absolutely true. I mean, that's you can only imagine if it was 5,000 black men, there would have been bodies all over the place. Yeah, everywhere. I think that's undisputably true. I no argument for me there.
let me shift gears because there's another hero. A 5-year-old's dad blasts protesting parents, opposing mask. I just really like how this guy put it. This is in Williams County, Tennessee. And this has been making the rounds on social media. Justin Canoe is blasting COVID-19 denying and CRT hating parents at the county school. Here's some of that video.
Justin Canoe, my dad in Williamson County. Didn't plan on speaking, but Here we go. First of all, critical race theory is not in our schools, and it never was. And the people here to complain about it did not know what it was 6 months ago and had never heard of it. That's why they're going after diversity, equity, and inclusion instead and trying to pretend they're the same thing. They aren't. And frankly, there aren't many communities around the globe that need DEI more than this one that we live in. On another note, I'm a dad of a new kindergartner, and her first day was right after the chaos last week. She went to school and was one of just a few kids in her class wearing a mask, which made her ask me why she had to. My answer was because we want to take care of other people. She's 5 years old, but she understood that concept. And it's disappointing that more adults around here can't seem to grasp it. I asked a pastor friend of mine, and he was very clear there's no actual biblical justification for using the Bible to get out of a mask mandate passed by a majority of this elected board. But thousands are doing it anyway, calling it a religious exemption, which is frankly just sad. Avoiding masks is not in the Bible, but taking care of others is. And now today we have Governor Lee's executive order to allow opt-outs, which is government overreach undercutting a local decision. If you only like democracy when it goes your way, you don't actually like democracy. Thank you.
Let me give you some background here. Coronavirus continues to ravage Tennessee. Williams County is reporting an average of 130 new coronavirus cases per day. As Canoe noted, the state's GOP governor, Bill Lee, on Monday signed an executive order effectively voiding local mask mandates by allowing parents to opt out of those mandates. One parent outside last week's school board meeting appeared to threaten the medical professional who spoke in support of masks, yelling, "We know who you are. You can leave freely, but we will find you." We covered that story right here on Indisputable. Here's a clip to remind you of that incident.
Put your mask on. Kids sucking that bacteria. How do you like that? We know who you are. We know who you are. Keep it calm. No more masks. Keep it calm. Keep it calm. No more masks. We're on these guys' side. They're on our side. No, they're not. They're not on our side. The police are on our side. The police are on our side. Let's calm down. Yes. Calm down. We know who you are.
Just think about the irony of this, right? Okay, so they're not wearing masks. Why would they have a problem with you wearing one? Right? I thought we were talking about freedoms here. Why are they trying to unmask you? Because would that not be a violation of your freedom if they took your mask off? And let me give you another level of irony. The same individuals who will say, yes, that a baker should be able to say no to a same-sex couple are the same people who say, if you say no to me because I don't have on a mask, you're violating my constitutional right to be served. The hypocrisy is unreal here. But it goes to show you that they don't really give a damn about the Constitution or fair play. What they care about people doing exactly what they want them to do, contrary to common sense, science, and even the law. Nando, your thoughts?
Yeah, the American concept of freedom is something that I think about a lot because it's so ingrained in us to think that freedom means I get to do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want, no matter what. Whereas, like, I think a more robust notion of freedom is a some sort of social obligation to those around us, right? That we have, that if we live in a society that we have obligations to those around us. But in America, because we're so conditioned to think of ourselves as consumers first, that we get to do whatever we want, whenever we want, that the customer is always right, which is just one of the most insane things to think, that when you're at a restaurant and the waiter comes up to you, that person is should do whatever you say. Like if you want to ask him to do the hokey pokey and turn himself around right before he delivers your meal, that he should, and if he doesn't, then he's just not respecting your rights as a consumer. You see this all the time, so it's encouraging to see this guy push back against that in the meeting, and because that is just so ingrained in so many people here, and we got to figure out a way to change that.
And it also encourages individuals who know the truth to stand up and say it as well. The truth is nobody's teaching critical race theory to K through 12 students. Teachers don't teach it. You didn't learn it. I didn't learn it. Our children aren't learning it. Where did this come from? So I'm glad he addressed that big lie. And then the other issue of the mask mandates. Yes, local governments have the authority to do these things when there is a healthcare crisis. That's actually codified in the US Constitution that gives states and local governments the right to do so. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'll predict right here for you, Chris. I think Donald Trump will leave office before his term is up. He'll be humiliated, embarrassed, and I know him. He's not going to want to lose, and he's going to run for the hills.
You got that bet all day long.
Okay, let's get after it. Now, so look, Jake has made some good predictions, and this is in good fun. I could not disagree more.
There's a little bromance between the two of them. You got that bet all day long, Janky, you. Oh, you stop. In the meantime, let's call him out on the damage.
No, but
I just got a Roku set. Did basically a little bit of channel surfing, and I was like, there we are.
Yeah.
There we are. And then I turned it on, and it was John and Brett on Damage Report making fun of me.
Oh no.
So you are so busted. I even took a picture of it, okay? They're talking about my predictions. I got a new prediction for you, John Idarola.
You're doing a show that's blowing the doors off everybody.
Young Turks is the largest online news network, not a big deal. We're gonna rock the boat. We're gonna be counter-establishment. We're gonna tell people the truth to the best of our abilities. We're so sick of this corruption. We're not the robots on TV. I actually care about the news. Guilty, I care. Fourth day on Occupy Wall Street. Last night we launched Wolfpack. It's us pushing our ideas out there, trying to help the country in every way that we can, trying to make this place just a little bit better. Reporting from the Hillary-Bernie debate, I gotta be honest, you know what we do? We cover it for real. For us, this system isn't working. Free and fair elections.
And when he told the cops that day when they came to drag her away, and he said, if you're gonna chain her, you're gonna chain me. If you're gonna arrest her, you're gonna arrest me.
Hi, I'm Bartholomew Joseph Kyle. I do audio for the main show, The Young Turks. I also do audio for Post Game. I started in 2006. I met Cenk Uygur at the Iraq for Sale screening that was directed by Robert Greenwald. And watching that, I want to figure out a way to be part of something that's genuine and authentic.
All right, let's get it. We got a lot of viewer comments. Welcome back. TYT member Cognitive Dissonance is a hell of a drug says, I love how everyone behind him immediately starts squirming in their seats. You notice that too. Yeah, Mickey C, the silver haired dragon. My question is, how are these people who are identifying capital terrorists finding them well before the FBI with all their advanced tech like facial recognition and contacts? Why haven't the FBI been able to ID so many of the terrorists? Question mark. It's a good point. YouTube super chat. Forbesilla. Hey Doc, did you get the Karen vid I sent on Insta? I don't think I did, but I will check today. Jill Wagner. This was the J. Edgar Hoover FBI. These sedition hunters are the real patriots. Who should they work with? Sorry, I totally disagree. Max Zaro. The guy screaming almost sounded feral. And honestly, glad I don't live in the USA. It seems so crazy and a constant undercurrent of implied violence. Gabby Mathis says, can't wait for someone to take my mask off. Might be head story in the paper. Yeah. Zelgitis Graywords. Oh my God, I went to school with Logan. I even had a crush on him at that time. So disgusting. Wow. George Flaxman. Dr. Rashad, if I filmed the police as a foreign tourist, could I be arrested? Well, yeah, they can arrest you for anything, but you shouldn't be, okay? Guillermo Gonzalez, you think they noticed the thin blue line while they're stomping on it? Question mark. Freedom fighter, wow, Doc gave us two white allies standing up for what's right and real in one show. Give that dude a cookie, Anna. My faith in America is restored for another day. Listen, hold on, okay? Hold on, because these Karens I got. All right, and Susie, Twitch says, I love Nando. Nando's great. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off. I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Respect the elder. I respect freedom. I know, look, he's disrespecting an elderly.
You know what I respect? I respect freedom.
Because
what do you respect? What do you respect? Hold on. Take a seat. Sit down. Sit down. That's right.
I have a 40-year-old son.
This prolific male Karen disrespecting a senior citizen, showing how deep the Karenicity runs inside of him, while at the same time proclaiming, oh, this is all in the name of freedom. We've heard that before. So let me tell you who this person is, okay? His name is Ryan Bartels from New Jersey. He's a former employee of CarMax. And according to his LinkedIn profile, his skills include public speaking and customer service. That's him. The same day of this incident, you gotta love the internet. The same day of the incident, here is Ryan at a rally flashing white power gestures with fellow Proud Boys. There it is. That's it. Crypto Jesus said, here they are at the New Republican Club rally today in NYC. Guy on the left was his buddy on the train who laughed and looked along. Notice Pudge Boy is throwing up Proud Boy gestures. I've also been told he may be a Proud Boy from some sources. There's another person that Ryan harassed as well, according to their narrative. Sandy Backham says, same guy who harassed me, hitting my camera, yelling, why are you wearing a mask? I'm elderly too. Let's put up a picture of him again. His right now picture. Let's put up his right now picture, not his profile. There you go. That's him now. Okay. All right. That's him today. Nando, one of the things we see with a lot of these Karens is that they cannot actually respect the rights of other people to be different or think differently than they do.
Was that guy drunk? I mean, his eyes look, he's got like that kind of glazed over look when he's just like hanging on by the pole. He's like, I love 1776. That's my favorite year. This is my favorite year in the whole. Like, is he drunk? Like, he looks a little drunk. That's he obviously is like one of the worst people on the planet. This CarMax guy, but this the CarMax Proud Boy. But yeah, I'm wondering. That's what I want to know, because like look at his eyes there. They're just glazed over. I don't know. That's my. I want someone to do like an investigative report on that.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Alcohol don't make you racist, or alcohol doesn't make you violate individuals' constitutional rights, and alcohol doesn't make you antithetical to senior citizens.
I'm not excusing the behavior. Don't get me wrong. I'm just making a comment because he looks a little haggard. I mean, in that LinkedIn picture, he looks clean cut, and he's a little thinner. In the subway, he's looking rough. He's got the beer belly and the unkempt hair. I don't know. I just think maybe he's falling on hard times.
That's what Karenicity would do to you. It will make you a shell of your former self, and that's what has happened to this guy, obviously. All right, ladies and gentlemen, double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Call your number or I'll call the police.
Call the police. I'm not doing nothing. I'm waiting for you to move out of the way.
Apologize or give me your name.
Okay, I'm sorry for beeping the horn.
Okay. For being aggressive. Because we have enough problems with this.
You're sitting at a green light.
Ew! I was busy.
And you pull over to the side.
Looking at a paper? You have no proof of that.
I can see through your window. You're reading a piece of paper.
I was dizzy and I got scared and said maybe the medicine's making me dizzy.
Then you pull over.
You're kidding me.
You're not aware of late when I beeped the horn at you.
10 minutes ago. Keep being late with your packages. That's not going to help your employee record.
You're blocking traffic.
I don't care. You understand? At some point, you got to stand up for yourself.
Okay.
And you were wrong. If I was an older person or I really was busy,
doesn't matter. You're perfectly fine. You were reading a piece of paper.
You keep insisting on that when you can't just be a forgiving person. And believe me when I tell you, I was not reading for the sake of pleasure.
Well, whatever you're reading for, it doesn't matter. You're still blocking the road. You're blocking everybody. Why don't you move out of the way?
Ma'am, the fact that you're willing to block the road, at least in the video that we can see, leads me to believe that you were already blocking the road in the beginning. The guy's story has credibility because of your response. He says you were reading a sheet of paper and blocking the road. You're saying, no. I got dizzy, I was scared, and I don't care that I'm blocking traffic now because I have to stand up for myself. Now, let me tell you where this all started. This was a throwback, Karen. This all started because she was at a green light, she did not move, and the delivery driver had the audacity to do what every single one of us would have done in that situation. Blow the damn horn, okay? So she got out of her car, and you see exactly what proceeded from that point. Quite interesting. Nando, I know you're not a psychologist, brother, but give your best psychological profile as to why does stuff like this happen?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is because we're living through a kind of social collapse, and people are on edge. I mean, and we're just encouraged by the nature of our the way we live these days, to snitch on everyone, to report everyone to their manager, to like if some worker doesn't behave in the exact way that we want them to behave, we need to like report them to their boss. I mean, this is like, this woman's reading in the middle of the road, which you're not supposed to do, even if it's not for pleasure. It's like she was reading like People magazine or something. Even if she was reading like the directions to wherever she was going, like you shouldn't be reading anything while you're driving. And it's just like, it's just, you got a little beep, who cares? You got a little honk on the horn, who cares? I need to speak to your boss. Give me the number of your boss, and I need to call him and speak to him. And it's like, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to treat workers as our property, essentially, like that they get to do whatever we want them to do at all times. Like that's and it's just a horrible way to exist in a world. And that's exactly what she's exhibiting. She's like, I can do whatever I want whenever I want, and you can't tell me otherwise. You have to do whatever I say, and if not, I'm gonna get you fired or call the cops. It's crazy.
That's the commonality, right? The commonality is I need to utilize these authorities to put you in your place. It's quite amazing that the only person breaking the law here is her. She's the only one breaking the law. Beeping the horn. Cars come with horns so you can beat them, okay? You're calling the police, and what are you going to say? This man used his horn while I was at a green light not moving. That is not against the law, unless you're willing to make up something that he didn't do, unless you're willing to spin a narrative contrary to the facts. The facts say you're breaking the law. You're impeding traffic. You're unwilling to move your vehicle. You're stopping the progress of this one individual. So yeah, we've seen this time and time again, where the reality is they simply want to put people in their place, and they will work with other authorities as they see them in order to do so. My dear brother, I thank you for doing Indisputable with me today, man. Pleasure to have you on the show. Tell people how they can check out your work and follow you on social media.
Best place is on Twitter at Nando Vila, and watch our show every weekend. Jacobin Weekends, me and Anna Kasparian, we break it down on the Jacobin YouTube page.
Brother, thank you so much for all you do, man. I appreciate you being here with me.
Appreciate it.
All right, we got more on the other side. It's Indisputable, stick and stay.
Old school's pitched to me from Jake. It'll just be me, you, Jesus, Ben, and maybe Michael. And we're like, okay, cool. I can do that every week. As you can see, me, Jesus, Ben.
When you make the order, it says, don't exceed $20.01. So I'll just order literally anything to get it as close to that as I possibly can.
I'm sorry that I ordered $45 worth of food and got an email saying, sir, would you like to rethink that? What are you talking about?
I was in hell. I was just like, oh my God, the theater's empty, nobody's here. Everyone on screen keeps cursing. Why did I let this happen? And the whole thing looks like it was shot through a glass of milk. My mom's gonna be so mad.
If you're looking for a heart attack, the short way, baby.
Wrong. I did put mayonnaise on it. I'm the most in shape, overweight person you'll find.
That's right.
He was like, why didn't you answer my call? I called you 39 times.
Yuck. But what makes you stop right before 40? What makes you say, nah, man, I ain't doing that no more. I'm cool.
And I called you back on the air. And I was like, okay, Kevin Smith, big shot. What the you said you'd come on and you didn't come on.
I'm sure I took that very well.
Yeah, you did. You called me back the next day and said, I thought it was 7 a.m. There's now deep fake porn. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
I heard of it. I just had some in the car.
I'll tell you who I'm not Ben Mankiewicz. Have you guys ever felt that?
Not ever.
And now it's just the three of us.
This is the intimate hour.
By the way, the last half hour of this, we're not even rolling.
Fair enough.
Kingsley.
See, I watch movies.
I'm done with both of you.
Once Craig starts laughing, I can't stop. And I was just gonna ask you about getting high.
Snoogans, Snoochie Boochies.
And members, of course, you can get the whole damn thing. TYT.com, join and free trial.
I'm old school with the old folks.
Good.
John, come back.
Field goal here.
It's time to switch to beer.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Do your best.
He's a little like.
Oh. No one's happy now.
Give him another try.
Oh. Wow.
This is the weirdest game.
I'm Brett. I would like to refer to this segment as the Do I Still Have This Talent show. So I want to see if I can play harmonica without my hands. I don't know why I have that. Nothing's gonna be more impressive than that. I can also spin a basketball on my finger. While drinking. I'm gonna spin a basketball on my finger while drinking apple juice. You can do this, dude. It's also flat. I don't know if that helps or hurts. And it seems to be somewhat wobbly. Ta-da! Nope, I don't know how to do this one. This one's a fail. Nope. Oh God, I'm so mad.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let's get to it. And thank you all for always engaging the show. Don't forget that you can always become a subscriber to the YouTube channel as well, all right? That's Indisputable TYT, Indisputable TYT. We're at, I think, 168,000 subscribers. That's because of you, all right? And I want to say thank you for that. Make sure your family and friends, they subscribe to that page. It's free, it's easy, it's simple. Okay, TYT member, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. Karen, I was dizzy. Also, Karen, what if I really was dizzy? As my mother says, woo, Lord, yeah. Let me give you the details, says, double dose, I love it. Man, that second lady is basically calling that guy out because she was putting the whole road in danger. Wow, Karens are gonna Karen. I like that statement. Karens are gonna Karen. Super chat. Feral Dragon says, can we start calling male Karens Ken, please? I know there's this urge, but there are so many variations of male Karens. You have Chads, you have Kens, you have a lot of names. So I just figure I'd make it simple and just call them male Karens. But I understand your point. Kev Z247, Dr. Richie, would love to see you on the Ben Dixon show. Come join us, brother. Listen, that's on the table. My big homie Ben gotta invite me though. He's been on my show. All right. Raja Harris says, you know, brother Nando going back to bed. That's funny. Okay. Supremo 14, the Dragon Knight. Worship Karen Wood is the best segment on any news, anything, anywhere. Well, thank you. Hank Boost. Every time a Karen gets to see the manager, another Karen somewhere splits in two. That is hilarious. Twitch, Angie Pepper. She said, what if I was actually feeling dizzy? Which means she was reading a piece of paper. That's exactly what that means. That means she was just reading a piece of paper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, we have Corinne Clark, co-founder of freepressfail.com. We're gonna talk about the January 6th insurrection and maybe get into COVID-19, vaccination, mask, etc. Ms. Clark, thank you for being on the show. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I don't want to presume what you believe or know or think about the insurrection on January 6th. So give us some of your thoughts as it relates to what happened on that day at the US Capitol.
I think the most disappointing thing about January 6th is what a distraction it has been to the political conversation lately. I won't condone any activity. I wasn't invited to that insurrection, so can't say anything about it myself. If it was the big party they keep claiming it was, I'm surprised I didn't hear about it because it wasn't very well planned. But now we can't talk about anything else, it seems.
Well, Ms. Clark, my producers told you that you would be talking about the January 6th insurrection. So you're gonna talk about it on my show because that was our agreement. So once again, I will pose the question to you. What are your thoughts about the January 6th insurrection against the United States Capitol?
I don't really think it was an insurrection.
What do you think it was?
I think it was a rowdy crowd of unorganized people making a big scene. And it's unfortunate that they did that because I do think it is very distracting from a lot of conversations that would have happened on that day had it not taken place.
So I agree with you. I don't think it was an insurrection. I think it was a terrorist attack. Do you disagree with me on that notion?
Yes.
What's your definition of terrorism?
I would say any event meant to cause complete terror. If you are in terror of a 65-year-old woman carrying an American flag inside the Capitol, then you have a very loose definition of terror, I guess. It's not really about defining terrorism, but really about defining terror.
Ma'am, what you just said, Ms. Clark, in all due respect, what you just said is a complete lie. Complete lie.
The definition of terrorism is a lie?
Not only your definition of terrorism, but your summary of what happened. A 65-year-old woman walking into the US Capitol with a flag is not what happened on January 6th. Let me first correct you on the definition of terrorism. The definition of terrorism, this is the statutory definition, says a person who uses unlawful violence or intimidation, especially against civilians, in pursuit of political aims. That is what the definition of terrorism is. Another working definition of terrorism is unlawfully using violence and intimidation in pursuit of a political goal. How is it you can say that the acts of criminality, we're talking about trespass, we're talking about physical assault, we're talking about actual terroristic threats, to result or conclude in overturning an election result, which is a political goal? How can you say that the act of terrorism does not apply to what they did on January 6th, based on the definition of terrorism?
They weren't seeking a political goal. As I said, I do believe they were an unorganized mob that got a little out of hand. They had no political goal.
That's not true. They said they had a political goal. They shouted their political goal during that insurrection, during that terrorist attack. And the 615 plus individuals who have been arrested said that their political goal was to stop the certification process of the Electoral College.
There was no way that they were going to stop the vote. I don't think anyone intended to do that. But since you mentioned the people that were arrested,
does not
really
mean
talk about the conditions that
there's a
those
difference
prisoners are being
between
kept in.
your agenda
Because if you think they were, you think that these people committed terrorism, you think that these people committed terrorism, why haven't the police charged them with such a crime? Because they're sitting in prison and they have not been charged with insurrection and they have not been charged with terrorism. So it's not me saying it's not terrorism. It's the United States government, it's the DC police. These people have not been charged with terrorism.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Is that my fault? Because my definition of terrorism is wrong? Or do you think now that the DC police don't know what terrorism is?
Let me answer your question. And I'm glad you posed it. I'm a free thinking, independent individual. I'm able to call balls, balls, and strikes, strikes. The reality is, if those same individuals would have had the last name Muhammad that rushed that Capitol and did all of that criminality, you will call this terrorism. If they would have been black, all of those individuals rushed that Capitol, if they would have been members of Black Lives Matter, you right now on my show will call that terrorism. The reason why you don't call it terrorism is the same damn reason why the authorities have not charged them with terrorism. It is because their white skin gives them a benefit of the doubt that if they were of a different complexion or if they had a background as being Muslim, they would not have received that benefit of the doubt. You know, and I know, what I just said is 100% true.
You know that you can define me as racist and also the DC police are racist and the definition of terrorism is somehow racist.
Ma'am, the definition of terrorism stands. The definition of terrorism is what it is.
It is not what it is. You are assuming a lot. You don't know me at all.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Ms. Clark. Let me ask you this question.
No, let me ask you, do you think the DC police are racist?
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Clark.
All of the police in DC are racist?
The institutions are based. Ma'am, I'm going to answer your question.
The black men that serve on the DC police, they are racist.
The institutions that we're talking about have institutional racism and systemic racism codified inside of them. But let me ask you this question very clearly.
The definition of racism can only be now dependent on skin color. You didn't read that in your first definition.
Let me pose this question to you because I don't want to get sidetracked on the conversation. Do you believe that if the individuals who rushed the Capitol committed acts of crime, if they would have been Muslim, would you then call them terrorists? Or would you just say they were in fact simply a rowdy group?
If the exact same circumstances occurred on January 6th, regardless of color, I would not say that that was terrorism.
Why?
Because it wasn't. They were an unorganized crowd. They had no goals. They had no organization.
That's contrary to the facts. The facts do dictate that they did have a goal to stop the certification of the Electoral College. Even
so then would you say it was a failed terrorist attack? Because they certainly didn't do that.
It was a failed terrorist attack, ma'am. As a matter of fact, most terrorist attacks are failed attacks.
Usually when we refer to something as a terrorist attack, we do consider it something that accomplished
the goal. You do understand that
a failed terrorist attack is a failed terrorist attack, and we refer to it.
So you agree it's a failed terrorist attack, correct?
If you think, by your definition, you think it's a failed terrorist attack. I do not think it was a terrorist attack.
So you think the goal of overthrowing the election, since that was not met, it is not a terrorist attack, or do you think they failed in their act of terrorism?
That wasn't their goal. That's what you said.
What was their goal?
They had no goal. I said that. They were
none of them had a goal whatsoever. Even though they said they had a goal, even though people who have been arrested said this was our goal, you're telling me that they're lying.
And they clearly had not a good enough goal to be arrested for the crime that you say they committed.
You know, it's quite interesting that you give them a complete pass.
Yeah, they're sitting in jail not being charged with a crime. I think that somebody needs to answer for that. How can you sit in jail and not charge people with a crime?
Okay, wait a minute. You said something new here. They're sitting in jail not being charged with a crime. Explain that to me.
What is there to explain? There are people who were arrested on January 6th who have not been charged with insurrection. They have not been charged with terrorism, and they have not.
But they have been charged with crimes, madam. You just said they are sitting in jail and have not been charged with a crime. That was your exact quote.
Which crimes have they been charged with? Can you tell me? Because I've been looking, I can't find it.
Well, let me read them to you. Give me a second. They've been charged with, some have been charged with criminal trespass, terroristic threats, utilizing a dangerous weapon, assault on federal police officers. That's just to name a few. You didn't know this?
The families of the people who have been arrested have not been informed of those charges. Neither have their lawyer.
These individuals have been charged with these crimes. This
Maybe
is a simple
you should call them. You should let them know because their lawyers are trying to figure that
Ms. Clark,
out.
you can tell them to Google it just like I did, madam. It's right in front of you. You can go to FBI.gov and read the docket. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I'll let them know that you have it all figured out. Google's got it for you because the DC police do not.
FBI.gov, they have it on their site.
The FBI charged them with crimes that their lawyers have not been made aware of. That seems like a miscarriage of justice.
Ma'am, do you know how many people have been charged? Do you know how many people have been arrested in connection to the terrorist attack? Are you aware?
I know there are at least 6 in prison and they have not been charged with terrorism or insurrection.
Ma'am, this is a simple question. How many people have been arrested in connection to the terrorist attack or the insurrection of the US Capitol?
I gave you an answer. There's at least 6 people in jail who have not been charged for insurrection or terrorism.
Okay. So there are over 600 people that have been charged. When you look at the charges that they have received, there are over 1,800 actual charges as an aggregate total of those 600 plus individuals who have been arrested. So charges have been allocated to them. My only beef is I don't think
they were
enough
charged with
charges have been
terrorism.
allocated to them, and many of them have already
terrorism and insurrection.
Ma'am, many of them have already pleaded guilty to these charges. That's why they have probated sentences, and they've been mandated to pay a fine. You realize you cannot be mandated to pay a fine until your case has been adjudicated. You understand that, right?
Anyone who's paid a ticket could argue that you've paid a fine before that for a crime to make it go away. These people were not charged with terrorism. They were not charged with insurrection, and you call them terrorists and insurrectionists.
You're damn right I call them terrorists.
You think they committed terrorism and the DC police said pay a fine as if you have an expired parking
That's what the federal government did, madam, and they are completely 100% wrong for how they have treated these members of a terrorist group that went out on January 6th and committed acts of terrorism by statutory definition.
Yep, they had them handle it just like we handle parking tickets because it was so serious of a crime.
So do you admit that crimes did take place on the US Capitol grounds?
Oh, I'm sure crimes take place on the US Capitol grounds every single day. I'm sure there's a crime taking place on the Capitol grounds right now.
Do you think they committed any crimes or not?
I wasn't there. If they committed a crime, I'm sure they were charged for it. But what I am confident in is that they were not charged with terrorism or insurrection, as you keep saying that they are guilty of.
Are you for the police?
Of course.
What about the videos that we see of Capitol Police being assaulted by these same individuals that you're defending? What are your thoughts about that?
I'm not defending anybody's actions. I just am saying that it wasn't terrorism.
Okay, let's move beyond that point. We're gonna agree to disagree on that point. The cops who are on video being assaulted by some of these insurrectionists, what are your thoughts about them assaulting the police?
I don't support the assault of any individual.
Okay, you do admit that what they did to those police officers that is in fact a criminal action, correct?
I would have to review the footage that you're talking about specifically, but if anyone was assaulted, that is a crime.
You have not seen any video? You've seen no video of any Capitol Police officer being assaulted?
I have not personally, no.
Okay, you need to do your homework, madam, if you're gonna come debate me on these issues. Is that fair?
Oh, I did do my homework, but now we're changing the definition of terrorism. So
no, we're not, madam.
It's really
I'm going to read
hard.
the
I have
definition
more homework
again.
now because we're really.
I'm going to read the definition again. Your definition is the definition that's incorrect. I am going to read the definition again for the sake of the audience who cares about the truth. I'm going to read it again. Okay, here's the definition of terrorism: a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. Unlawfully using violence and intimidation in the pursuit of a political goal. That's your definition, statutory definition of terrorism. Your definition, you just made it up. All right, let me ask you about.
I did not disagree on the definition of terrorism. I disagreed with your assumption of what the goal of that crowd was.
That's not my assumption. That's what many of them said that their goal was.
No, well, the federal government and the DC police do not agree that that was their goal.
Madam, you're lying again. Many of them who have been charged and arrested, and some of them.
It is not a lie. They have not been charged. You cannot lie about a fact.
Ma'am,
they have not been charged with terrorism or insurrection. That is the position of the federal government and of the DC police.
But madam, here's the lie that you're telling. When you continue to say that they had no political goal whatsoever, that is a lie. We can debate opinion here, but facts, my goodness, it is known as a fact that they have gone on record. Many of them in their plea deals have said that their aim was to stop the certification.
Their plea deals for crimes that were not insurrection or terrorism.
Okay, we're gonna move on, madam.
That's probably the best idea, considering that you cannot handle the fact that none of these people were charged with insurrection or terrorism, yet you keep calling them insurrectionists and terrorists.
But you can't handle
it is probably best
that
to move
the
on. Let that
definition
one
of terrorism fits hand in glove with what they did.
Oh, really? But no one agrees with you because that is not what they are charged with.
That's another lie. 52% of Americans believe that what happened at the US Capitol was an act of terror.
100% of our court systems agree that it was not insurrection or terrorism.
Okay, madam, as I said before, I disagree with the federal government and how they have charged all of these individuals. We will agree to disagree on that point. Let me move on to our second point because we're almost out of time. Are you an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker individual?
I am not anti anything, whatever you want to do. You want to vaccinate, do it. You want a mask, do it. I'm not doing either.
Do you believe state governments have the constitutional authority to mandate masks?
No.
Tell me, where does it prohibit it in the US Constitution?
Where does it grant the authority to do it?
I can read it to you. Ready for it?
I would like to hear it.
The 10th Amendment of the US Constitution says the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by law or Constitution of the United States, are reserved to the states respectfully or to the people. It emphasizes the right to utilize what's called the fundamental character of the national government in a state allocation of that mandate, i.e. healthcare grievances or a healthcare crisis. That's the 10th Amendment of your US Constitution.
That's a very open interpretation. I would be so happy to hear how people think that would not be abused in the future. So we can mandate masks because the 10th Amendment says that states can mandate whatever they want that the federal government hasn't mandated. Okay, well, we should mandate every kind of medication. We should mandate workouts. We should mandate a vitamin regimen. Okay. You're saying that they have the ultimate authority to do all of that. I don't think that that was the intention of the 10th Amendment.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you wear a seatbelt?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to keep myself safe.
You want to keep yourself safe. You know, you're mandated by law to wear a seatbelt in virtually every state in the United States. Do you agree with that law?
You can do something because you want to, not because someone tells you to.
Well, let me just ask you fundamentally based on principle. I wear a seatbelt to keep myself
safe because I want to keep myself safe. I do not wear a seatbelt because I fear the government telling me that I should do it.
Do you disagree with the government having the authority to mandate seatbelt laws?
I do not think the seatbelt law is necessary either.
So you disagree with the government having the authority statutorily to make a law for you to wear a seatbelt, correct?
Seatbelt laws in this country have been passed in various different ways. Sometimes they are a people's referendum. In that case, I'm like, okay, that went to the people. These are not actually laws. Mask mandates have not been laws. They are regulations and they are executive directives. And that's a much more nuanced argument than I think we're willing to have at this time.
Let me ask you this question, because you continue to skip around and I don't have unlimited time. Do you think it should be illegal for a school system to mandate masks for children and faculty and administration?
I think that the school board should consider their parents and students in those decision-making processes. And I think that the parents and students have spoken widely against mask mandates. So it's not a point of whether or not it's legal or illegal, but these boards are supposed to serve their students and serve the parents of those students. And I don't think that they are doing that.
So let me ask you again in a different way. Do you believe that it is their legal right or legal authority to mandate masks in these school systems? Let's start there first. Do you think it is legal for them to mandate it?
I think it is their legal obligation to represent their students and the parents of those students.
Ma'am, this is a simple question. Do you believe it is legal for a board, a school board in particular?
It's not a simple question at all because a school board is not a legislator. They are supposed to serve the students and serve the parents of those students. That is what their legal obligation is to do. They are not Congress. They are not the state legislature. They are supposed to serve those students. So I don't think it's about whether or not they should be mandating masks as much as they should be communicating with their students and their parents to make sure that those schools are representing their needs of those kids.
You're not going to answer my questions, but I do appreciate your time. Thank you for being on Indisputable. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember a few things. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.